As a former derivative trader, thinking in risk terms about travel is something we don't talk about enough. And the probability of volatility in travel is very high. And how do we mitigate that? And that's where the lens that I want to take us through here in this example of a client that went on this trip that had a big problem. And what do we do about it? Now, there are things we do about it in terms of vetting our on site guides. This one in Norway, we know very well. They're on the ground and there for you because I'm not in Norway, I'm in the United States. Something goes wrong, we need a partner there for you in person, something you can't get when you order your trip up through Expedia. The next part is our air desk. Our air desk mitigates a lot of the problems. Say you're walking through Rome and you get the dreaded cancel email, or you're in the airport. Rather than scrambling to the line and being wherever you are in the queue and eventually being taken care of, you call our 800 number, they reroute you on the phone, period. So that's a big factor. The guides themselves, we had a lady come to us this summer and talk to us about how her dream was to go to the Louvre. She was an art enthusiast and she found someone on one of these online sites that wasn't vetted. And she starts her tour at the Louvre. And lo and behold, she finally got it out of the person that they are an Uber Eats driver looking to make some extra money. So we vet these on site guides in suppliers like the one in Norway. We have the air desk and we have travel insurance. And travel insurance is a massive topic. And we had a client who recently had a huge problem we want to tell you about, and how we used all of these resources to make the experience as good as and seamless as it could possibly be. So I would reserve this time to just say go to vodcasts, and then you'll see all of the different categories. We broke down an interview into multiple pieces, and will allow you to look at this for the sum of its parts. But when you leave the United States, you no longer have primary healthcare coverage. Your corporate policy is not portable to the countries that you travel to in the UK, in the EU, etc., Asia, and so forth. So that means that you're exposed. And in the socialist medicine countries such as Norway, unless you put significant sums of money down, you're not being seen. Whereas if you had a policy, regardless of how much of your trip capital you spent, and the example of this one was a $50,000 trip, regardless of how much you protect, you do have all of these benefits, including primary coverage. So rather than coming home and hoping that your credit card will pick it up, by the way, they're going to make you file with all your insurance claims and be denied first. And you have to put 100% of your trip on that specific card or you're disqualified. Rather than going through all that and probably being denied, you have this policy and it's based on the age and state of residency that you're in. So in this case, you have this beautiful, beautiful trip and you're on it and something happens. Well, in this case, it's an active trip. So the lady in this case fell and broke her wrist. They had a $50,000 trip. It was insured. The flights were insured. The sum of the trip was insured. And as a result, when she went to the hospital, we had the policy and she presented it, and having called our partners here at Travel Insured and said, hey, I've got a policy. I'm in the hospital. I broke my wrist. And then the process for how it gets laid out in terms of the primary coverage kicking in, they walk them through it. And that was all taken care of. The next part is there's an unused portion of the trip that they want to recover from what they insured. But there's also a metric that kicks in, which is very important, that let's say you insured a $50,000 trip, so $12,500 per person for the 4 people. What happens is when you're on the trip, you get 150% of that value. So, and the insurance company is effectively recognizing that you might have spent $4,000 to get over there in airfare, but if you had to get home the same day, it could be 9, 10, who knows, thousand. So there's a buffer built in. So that buffer helps the inflated cost of airfare to be used the day of in the event of an emergency, and still allows a healthy amount of money to be recouped for the unused portion of the trip, which was the case. So what we did was we went right to our air desk and said, we called and said, here's the story. We need to change our outbound today. Our air desk being so good at optimizing your travel and all the codes and airlines and everything determined on the phone that it would be far better for the traveler to not cancel that, but to rebook. And that's how we went through that. And then the cost of that will be used in the claims process, as I said, against the travel insurance. So rather than having to sit there and go and whatever site you would use to book a trip or call and and then pay for it all because you didn't have insurance or whatever, they called our air desk, who made that easy. When she got hurt, she called our travel insurance company, which made all that easy, and they walked them through it. And that the claims process is now ongoing. And as a result, they'll get the unused portion. The flight was covered, and the medical expenses were covered. And more important than anything, it wasn't stressful on the level that it would have been if they didn't take this policy. So I just drew up a quick quote of just using some random dates for 40 somethings with 8 to 12-year-old kind of kids, 4 people at 12,500 in protected value per person. You can pick any number you want, but it's just for illustrative purposes. I'm just going to show you that Traveler One, which I think in theory was me around my date, cost me $936 to insure 12,500 of trip value from myself. So that puts the expectancy at roughly a 7.5% probability that there will be a full cost. And I think that's how they view it. I just did 936 divided by the 12,500, and that was the cost of that insurance. Now, again, even if you put zero there and insured none of your capital and we're taking that risk, you would still have all these other benefits that you're seeing on the screen, like trip delay, the primary health insurance, the medical evacuation, which is down here, and the accidental sickness and all that. There are other benefits as we go down the list. But the interesting part about this is that kids under the age of roughly 18 are free. So you're really doing yourself a very big disservice if you're not insuring yourself for the medical purposes, as I've outlined. That was the catalyst for this problem. You're also doing yourself a disservice because it would be free for the kids. And look what happens when something goes wrong and what you're exposed to. Tens of thousands of dollars in possible healthcare differential, tens of thousands of dollars to get you home the same day. Lost value of the trip. It's all just gone. And this could be a 6-figure event before you know it. And you already spent $50 to do this, and now you're cheated out of the trip. So for $1,872 in this fictitious example, using dates around my family's age, and I don't have a fourth. We're a family of 3, but I added a slightly older kid for illustrative purposes. This is what it would have cost you. Now, nobody likes to pay for insurance, but I can promise you that this family was relieved to have had primary health care coverage kick in, a number to call of people who rerouted all of their stuff on the phone. They valued more than anything us who put all this together, and then us who ultimately are going to go through all the little processes we need to do to get them a car to the airport and such. And then lastly, our on the ground partner who vetted all the guides and is there for them in Oslo if something goes wrong. Well, they needed them. The first call was to the team in Oslo. I just fell and broke my wrist. I need some help. I need to get to the hospital. Then we got the call, and I said, pull out your travel insurance, call them on the way so that they will guide you on what hospital, and then the primary coverage will start kicking in. And then the last one was, once we had it all kind of stabilized and we knew we needed to get home, now we called my air desk and optimized the flight scenario to get them home. So it really kind of puts all the pieces together and exemplifies the risks and how we really do mitigate travel volatility at the highest levels, while, of course, our primary mission is to give you the best possible experience. I hope this was helpful. Please, please, please go into Travel Insurance Demystified, poke around here, learn about the little different things, existing coverage, cancel for any reason is its own animal. There are many things in here. There are testimonials. And of course, if you ever wanted to just use this service, you could click here and it will take you to our booking engine, which will take you back to where I did your quote for this example, which is right here. I hope this was helpful. I hope you please take away to use travel insurance in the future for your own benefit.